You just like search the older videos. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome, Rapid Fire Golf, episode 29, we think, unconfirmed, but probably 29. Welcome. Hope everyone had a good weekend, good week last week. For those of you that have been here before for Rapid Fire Golf, we are back inside in the old studio here at the Bethlehem Golf Club. Outside is hot here with potential storms. So we're gonna be back inside and see if we can make this work in here. For those of you that have been here before, you guys can fire questions away whenever you have them, and I will answer them semi-rapidly. If this is your first time, welcome. Dave, what's up, dude? What's up? Yeah, ask questions, fire away. I'll answer the best I can. And I got a really bad golf day. Look at that golf day in there. Not good. And yeah, we'll answer the best we can. So fire some questions when ready. I might hit a couple while we're waiting. Dave, what's happening? And we'll see what's going on. See, this is my best practice all week, where I can actually see my backswing. Oh. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's see. A quick drill for a steeper backswing. If you search my name and backswing, or the one, what was the last one we did? The elbow down towards the ground. Backswing. One trick for backswing, whatever. Steeper backswing, I would say the main thing you're trying to control is your arm rotation from lead shoulder through elbow. So if you're a right-handed golfer, you want to feel your left elbow point down towards the ground. If your elbow points this way, either a flatter shoulder turner, your shoulder went too internal, that's going to get flatter. So you want to feel your elbow more down towards the ground. You can still get the thumbs wherever you want. So if you really want to go steep with the shaft, elbow down, thumbs up. Elbow down, thumbs up would go steep with the shaft. You can still flex your wrist from there and square the face up. Can you discuss how best to determine distances when hitting bunker shots? By the way, your online stuff is incredible. Thank you for all the great advice. You're welcome, Paul. Thank you. Yeah, the best way to determine bunker distances is really by practicing them. It's a little bit individual in terms of how people do it. Some guys will, and gals, will use one club and open the face varying degrees. So the shorter you want to hit it, the more you want to open the face. The farther you want to hit it, the less open you have the face. That's one option. Second option would be keep the face the same the whole way. Just keep that thing kind of at lead toe, and then take more clubs. So at a shorter distance, use a 56 or 60, use a gap wedge, pitching wedge, 9er. Like if I have a 30-yard bunker shot, I'm not using the sand wedge. I'm probably using a gap wedge, pitching wedge, whatever from there. So you can do that as well. You can also change swing length and change speed. So if I want to hit it farther, you know, I'm probably always usually making a backswing. The last video we did somewhere close to left arm parallel in the backswing. And then if I want to go shorter, I might have a shorter follow through. If I want to go medium, a little longer, and then long would be kind of all the way up through. So that's another option. So really the answer is you got to practice. What we used to do with the kind of kids and the tournament players is we'd get in a bunker, put an object at a short distance, medium distance, long distance, and then just find a solution that worked best for them. I'd say most of them, 3/4 of them, did it with one club and changed how open they did the face and then just swing length. But I typically would prefer to change the club. What's your methodology for reading greens, plumb bob, etc., Ron? Aim point is the best way to do it. If you have the time to learn aim point, some of you guys that are familiar or not, when you see them on TV with the finger up, right, that's aim point express. That's a faster way to do it. Aim points is a way that you kind of read greens based on the slopes. You learn how to feel slope with your feet. You put that to a percentage, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., and then you learn to read greens that way. That takes a little bit of effort to learn. You could learn a basic clock system, which isn't 100% fail-proof, but works. If you could find the 6 o'clock straight uphill putt and kind of learn the break around there, everything on the left side of the clock breaks, or every putt breaks down towards 6, basically. So every putt on the left side breaks left to right. Every putt on the right side breaks right to left. If you search my name in green reading, you'll kind of see that clock system on there. But aim point would be the best way to go if you have the time to do it. Let's see here. Homer, are there particular exercises that help strengthen the feels of a sound golf swing as well? Are there any pre-round stretch routines for activating swing feels? Homer, I would say exercise to help strengthen the feels of a sound golf swing, no, not that I know of. I think the best way to strengthen feels is just repetition and time, and get the quickest way to get there is through exaggeration. So, you know, let's say, for example, during your backswing, your hands normally go too far away from your body and you want them to kind of work on a normal arc. because you go too far out, you need to feel like they go just ridiculously in to find center. The best way to figure those feels out is to exaggerate. It'll happen a lot quicker. I'm not sure in terms of what you mean in terms of strengthen it or like make it easier, but that would be what you would do. Over exaggerate, give yourself feedback via video, increase the frequency to shorten the time it takes to do it. Like if you're practicing your swing every day with video feedback and exaggerating, you can expect a pretty good change in probably a month to 2 months. And then the less time you're doing it, kind of the longer that would take. Pre-round stretch routines, I think, depends on the person. I would say getting blood moving is kind of the #1 priority. So I would be do less static stretches and more movement, like just get kind of blood flowing depending upon what you want to do and just best warm up. If you get to the gym beforehand, right, that would be super ideal. What in your opinion, okay? What in your opinion is you guys don't ever see Mary in the background. Somebody gives me eyes, like something's going on back there. What in your opinion is the best mental state to get into for playing an important round like season finale, and how to get there? The best mental place to be in life in general, in my opinion, for anything is complete presence. So being completely in the moment that you're in, whether that be golf or whatever. How you get present that I've found to work for myself and many other people is by being aware of your senses, as many senses as possible. That's sight, sound, smell, feel, etc. That would be you looking around and seeing things that are going on, seeing the leaves blowing, seeing some specks of grass on the ground, etc. You're hearing the wind blowing, hearing the cart drive by, etc. Smelling the smells of the grass and the chemicals in the grass probably. Feeling your feet on the ground. Right now I feel my hat on my head, my shirt on my chest, those sort of things. That would get you present. You can do breathing routines where you count your breath. That would be the state that typically people would perform the best or get into a flow state, as people will call, or in the zone, would be completely present. That takes time to learn, just like anything else. Meditation ultimately is the best way to learn that. It takes work, takes time, but that would be the best way if you really wanted to learn that forever. If you spent the next 3 to 6 months learning meditation, you would learn how to get present slowly but surely. That's how I'd approach that. Let's see, what's happening, man? Can you help? Can you help? Yes, I can, of course. I have early extension and hit the heel. Yeah, the best thing, Stuart, for you to do would be to purchase our early extension masterclass. That is probably the best masterclass, I think, and I think Mary thinks too, that we've done so far. And I don't say that to try and sell it to you. I say that because that's literally, I think, 20 to 25 videos that thoroughly explain every single possible thing and how to fix it. The real answer, Stuart, is for me to help you, I'd have to see your swing to say specifically what you're doing that's causing that. Obviously, I can't see it like this. You could always check out cogornogolf.com, as I tell you guys all the time. That's where you can post your swings where I can help you. But I would purchase the early extension masterclass and start with that first. Identify what part of that is your actual error and what you need to change, and that will help you a lot. You can search my name here on YouTube and early extension. You'll get a bunch of videos for free. And if that helps you, that's cool. If those don't help, do the early extension. And then indoor, you can join cogornogolf.com to get access to all the masterclasses as part of that membership. As far as grip pressure is concerned, should grip pressure be even, or should it be more left-hand or right-hand for a right-handed golfer? I think it's individual. I would say the stock answer, if I were to take a written test, would be even. I've had some players who feel the left hand stronger, some players who feel the right hand stronger. Some people would say if you firm up the right hand, it lessens the chance of a hook. You know, if you firm up the left hand, it increases the odds of a hook. Some things like that, but I don't know how much of that's actually true or not. But I think even across the board, or whatever works for you. In terms of grip pressure, the things we did that video, 2 non-negotiables of grip pressure. The things that I've found kind of constant over time is whatever grip pressure you start with, you want to more or less maintain. So if you're firm to start, stay firm the whole time. If you're loose, stay loose. Like you don't want to go from loose and then grip it real strong, or grip it real strong and then go loose. So you're kind of remaining constant throughout the whole thing would be kind of the non-negotiable. And if you're going to go firmer with your hands, you ideally would still have kind of loose forearms as you did that, which is hard to do. But those would be my grip pressure pieces. You are welcome. You are welcome. Okay. How many rounds do you, random question, how many rounds do you play with the same golf club and ball? Just curious. Thanks for all you do. You're welcome, my friend. I really this year am playing more than I have the past couple years because we started the 2-day golf schools. And Mary and I do on-course videos now. So we're probably getting on the course. You know, I'm playing probably 9, 18 holes. I'm probably playing like 20 to 25 holes a week on average. So I'm going to base my answer on like that. So with me playing, let's say 1 to 2, 25 holes a week, I probably keep the same glove for like 2 months before it really wears out. And I'm hitting balls on Monday and Friday usually. So I'm probably hitting like, I don't know, 50 balls a week. Probably hitting 50 balls a week, playing 25 holes a week right now under our current schedule. I probably go through a glove once every 2 months. When I was golfing in tournaments, I always had 2 gloves. I always had a practice glove and like a gamer glove. So that gamer glove I only wore when I played in tournaments, so it lasted longer. I was also on much more of a budget. Not that I'm not now, but back then didn't have money to buy gloves at all. So you can kind of roll that out. I used to play the same ball until I lost it. For me, from like when I was in high school golfing, if I had my mom or I bought like a thing of Pro V1Xs, I'd ride that ball out until it was like completely worn out. So I could play ball until I hit an OB or for like weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. So I think you got to use a ball quite a bit for it to kind of mess up your game, and then a glove whenever you start getting holes are going to sweat out. Dave, recent video about right wrist and backswing. You've said you feel palm down and takeaway. Palm towards the camera at P3. Can you continue what the right wrist feels are in transition and downswing? Yeah, so Dave, keep in mind that's not, I wouldn't say that's for everyone, that pattern. I would say that's an optional feel if you want more compression. And the purpose of that video, what I prefaced before I said that was, here's a feel if your club face is too open or you're too far inside. So just keep that in mind. So that palm down, what I said, right, was the video was palm down towards the ground and then away from you towards the camera. And what happens when you do that with a club, palm down, palm away, is it makes the club face kind of more square closed there, right, compared to it being this way. Now, if you're already square at the top, you don't have to do that as much, right? Also, if you have a stronger grip, you don't have to do this much. That'd be if you have a weaker neutral grip or you're normally inside or too open. Okay, that said, what I would say would be a normal pattern would be here. So a neutral grip, my club face is tilted down. Here's straight up and down. My club face is tilted down 15, 20, 30 degrees. Now, my right palm with a neutral grip to do that is pointed where? Slightly down in this way. So it's really on like a 45-degree angle to be able to do that. It's not down towards the ground, right? It's kind of this way. Now, at the next checkpoint, I like, and I like because this is what good players do, hands in line with the pec or bicep. At that point with a neutral grip, depending upon my shaft angle, if I have a neutral shaft angle, my right palm here is kind of, again, 45 degrees. It's not away this way. It's not at the target. It's about 45 degrees, gives me a neutral club face. Now, the more I point my right wrist at the camera, the more my club face gets closed. The more I point my right wrist towards the target, the more it gets open. So it all depends on where you're coming from there. What would I do with normal wrist conditions from there to the top? Not a lot. My arms would continue to work up and in, and I would keep the club back over here. Dave, you know too, with the group, the Facebook group, I just posted that video up in our Cogorno Golf community, where we're getting a lot of guys who are kind of narrow in this way. And I want you guys to be here or here to make your downswings easier. So you can come down. So from here, a lot of guys need to feel unhinged and kind of palm away to get back to that spot. But your wrist conditions, to answer your question, I went on a rant there. Your wrist conditions from here to the top, you're not changing flexion extension much. You're not adding a lot of hinge here. You should be almost completely done with your hinge from here. Your hands are more or less maintaining those wrist conditions up to the top. So from here, I think wrist conditions are done. Keep turning, keep my hands going up and back. Don't add hinge, which will go across the line, and then don't change wrist conditions. Whew. I didn't mean to answer that long, but that's the answer. Michael, I have a problem with too much club head rotation at impact. Then, yeah, you need to stop that if that's the deal, right? If it's too, you have too much club head rotation impact, Michael. So I guess that would be a problem if you have direction control problems or the face is too close. You would need to stop that. Now, I don't know how to stop that without seeing why you're doing it. If you want to have a kind of a more stable release pattern, it depends on your grip. We've talked about this in some of the videos. If you search my name in grip and wrist conditions or perfect release pattern depending upon your grip and passive release, those sort of videos, we'll talk about the wrist angles. So if you want less club face rotation, then that's cool. You can do that. You got to adjust your wrist conditions and form rotation to match that. I'd probably have to help see your swing to kind of help at all like that. Or Michael, if you pose that question in a different sense, maybe I can give you a drill or something, but I probably need to see why you're doing that, right? But if you want less club head rotation at the bottom, then make it rotate less. How would you do that? You'd have less arm supination. You'd keep your trail arm more externally rotated here, and you keep that more under like Dustin Johnson. You keep that more under like Dustin Johnson. You just have to have the face in a square enough position going into that spot to do so. Most people have too much club face rotation at the bottom. Their face is too open earlier, and they're doing that kind of naturally to fix that. Eric, at the top of my backswing, my club face points more to the sky compared to my left arm and wrist. Does this mean my face is more closed? Yes, it does. Yes, that does mean your face is more closed. That doesn't mean it's correct or incorrect. If your wrist conditions are here and your face points something like that, that means your grip is really strong. Either the club slipped in your hands or your grip is really strong from here. The only way to have a flat left wrist and a shut face, your grip is really strong. So if I were to bring that down, my wrist conditions, my grip would be way over here towards my trail arm. If I had a neutral grip from there, that club face would be perfect, right? If I had a weak grip, that club face would be open there like that. So it all depends on, see, that's my weak grip. All depends on your grip pattern. Now, your face can be closer, that's perfectly fine, but if you have a shut face, who are good players that have shut faces? What's in common with them? Dustin Johnson, Victor Hovland, Burst Koepka, what do they all do really well? They rotate really well. They have really good downswing pivots. You can have a closed face and play really good golf, but you better get your butt moving and get open, literally your butt moving, and get open and rotate it and have a really good pivot and have your handle far enough forward and have more of a drive, hold, release pattern to go along with that. So it's not incorrect, but you have to have a good pivot. If you don't rotate when you're a bad pivot, a closed club face is usually going to have direction control problems. Either keep the closed face, improve the pivot, or keep your pivot, whatever, and make the club face more neutral, and then you can use more supination arm rotation, which would add more timing, but doesn't mean that's correct or not. Okay. David, to hit clean shots, ball first, then ground, where should I position ball and stance setup? I would say as a stock rule, like I've got a 8-iron, 9-iron, I would go under the left eye, left ear. So if you do a straight line down under your left eye, left ear, that's a pretty good kind of stock rule. Most good players would play anywhere between the sternum. So anywhere you go straight line down between your sternum and shirt logo, like this little zone here. If you want a straight line underneath there, say that's conveniently between my eye and my ear. If I went straight line underneath there, that's where I would put the ball. Now, it's hard doing it with your feet because it depends on my feet width. So if I stood really close here or really far here, kind of where that is different. But that's why I would go upper body, right? Put the ball here, right off my left eye, left ear, like that would be kind of stock. And then you can move that gradually forward a little bit as you work up the driver. Let's see here. Now, that's a stock. If you don't rotate as much or don't turn as much, you may need to move the ball back a little bit. If the more you move the ball forward, the more you got to shift or turn, right? Or do something to go get at it. If you don't rotate really well, and kind of the older you get and the less you open up, you can play the ball a little bit farther back and kind of play like a going draw pattern is fine as well. Let's see, Ronald. Hey, Eric, thank you for sharing your knowledge. You are very welcome. Have a great results. Have had great results, maybe? How do you hit a low punch shot, draw, fade, out of the trees, under branch, etc.? So when you're hitting a low punch shot or just a low shot in general, we got to look at what are the main factors that make the ball go low. So the number one thing that controls the height the ball goes, regardless of where, when, how, whatever club, is the loft of the club. And that means the lower the loft, the lower the ball flight. The higher the loft, the higher the ball flight, period. Doesn't matter if you're doing a chip shot, punch shot, full swing drive, or whatever. More loft, ball goes higher. Less loft, ball goes lower. So that's one factor. So if you want to hit it underneath a tree, you need to figure out how to take the loft down. How would you take the loft down? You would put the ball farther back in your stance, and you would put the handle more forward, right? So if I took my setup, here's normal swing, under left eye, left ear, normal setup. Now, punch shot, I'm back here, right? I'm kind of inside right heel. My hands stay inside of my thigh always, maybe press a little forward. Now, here's my normal setup. Not a lot of shaft lean. Here's my punch shot, a lot of shaft lean. A lot of shaft lean does what? Takes the loft down, right? Number two, how you hit a punch shot or how you hit a ball lower is through angle of attack. It doesn't matter what shot we're talking, driver, iron, whatever. The more I hit down on a ball, the lower it launches. The more I hit kind of shallow on it with a neutral angle attack, the higher it launches. So if I want to go low underneath the tree, I need low loft and hit down. Those things go together. How would I do that? I would put the ball back. Okay, hands stay inside left thigh. I would go from 50-50 in my normal setup to about 60-40, maybe 70-30. I'm tilted out. So my normal setup, I'd have a little tilt, punch shot, no tilt, maybe even leaning left. So ball back, weight forward, leaning tower Pisa kind of left deal, hands forward. I stay left as I go back, right? Especially if I'm doing a punch shot. I stay more left, move more left, hit more down on it on purpose. So you're changing your setup pieces. I want to get my body and my head more forward, keep it more forward. Here'd be full swing, little tilt, turn. Here's punch shot. Boom, here. So I'm like way on my left side, more left, hit down on it on purpose. And I'm actively trying to make the club head work down, right? So that's how I do the punch shot. Depending upon the fade, you kind of change your swing direction, change the club face alignment. I'll find with acceleration, having issues with acceleration and distance as a result. Should accelerate more towards the follow through to complete follow through or through the whole downswing. Alfonso, it depends on what club you're talking about, what kind of shot we're talking about. If you're having issues with acceleration, meaning you think you're decelerating too much, your thought or feel should be accelerating the entire downswing through the follow through. That's a very general answer without seeing you swing. But I would say you're trying to create acceleration during the initial downswing through impact and all the way to the follow through, not at the ball and stopping, but all the way to the follow through. What's the best way to train for tempo? My backswing is slow now that I try to make sure I hit the checkpoints during the backswing. The best way to train for tempo, if I'm not backswing, I'm not talking backswing, but if you're talking downswing tempo, we did a video on tempo, I think. Yeah, I think we did a video on tempo. I found the best way for people to train tempo either is to have a metronome. So you could have a metronome with a beat going based on how kind of fast you want to go. And ultimately hitting one club multiple distances. So people who swing too fast, in particular, who want to slow down, I would take, let's say your 8-iron goes 150 yards, do a full swing 8-iron 150, do a full swing 140, full swing 130, 120, 110, 100, 90, a full swing the whole time. So if your full swing 8-iron goes 150, to make your full swing go 100, it's got to feel really slow. That's what I would do. In terms of backswing tempo, you would just have to feel faster if you go slower. I don't know that you have to train that in so much, but yeah, I guess it depends on what you're looking for. If you swing too fast and go slower, I'd do what I mentioned there. If you want to swing faster, you can still use a metronome and kind of find whatever you want your medium to be and use that. But if you're going too slow to hit checkpoints, then just go faster. Record it, see what it looks like, and then adjust. Jim, what's up, dude? Yes, sir. Go Birds. Every time I go to my range in Florida, I tell everyone about your site. You the man. Next time I see them, I can't believe how they all improve. You are a genius. Thank you. Well, we'll take that. We appreciate the help there, Jim. And fingers crossed for the season. Couple weeks, baby. Robert, hi guys. Finding that I'm hitting my hybrids like a stud, excellent. But my fairway woods like a dud. That was nice what you just did there. Threw a little rhyme at us. What could possibly be the cause? What do I need to work on? Thank you. So Robert, I'd say a couple of things. Number one, what you just explained there is relatively common. I think there's a lot of players who hit their hybrids well, fairway woods not as well. Why would that happen? A couple of potential reasons. Number one, as each club gets less and less loft, right? Let's say your fairway wood is 15 degrees and your hybrid's 20 or 25, right? The same way most people hit a 7-iron better than a 5-iron. Why do they hit a 7-iron better than a 5-iron? 7-iron has more loft, right? 7-iron shorter. And so across the board, as the club gets longer and you have less loft, it's just more difficult to hit. That's it. Like, it's just like 10 miles is harder to run than 5 miles. And there's not much you can do about that. Now, why specifically do you hit the hybrids better than the fairway woods? I'd have to kind of see a little bit more of you hitting them and why in particular. But I would say that's fairly normal in terms of people doing that. I think that's normal, right? Like, I think it's harder to hit off a downhill lie than it is a neutral lie. And that just is. I think that just is. I think fairway woods are really hard to hit off the ground because the way they're designed, the way the sole of the club is, where the center of mass is, there's some technical stuff behind that. But hitting a fairway wood off the ground, I would not recommend for anyone unless you're like shooting around par or at least under 80. And then even then, only if there's enough benefit versus the problem. So my shitty course management tip, Robert, would be don't hit your 3-wood, hit your hybrid. But I think I'd have to see you. I think I'd have to see you doing them to say if there's any specific cause, the ball position change or something like that. Paul, can you discuss best techniques or thoughts to hit long fairway woods? Okay, like that. 3 woods and 4 woods off a tight lie. Yeah, so I wouldn't hit 3 woods and 4 woods off a tight lie. That's my answer. That's my legitimate answer. I'm not trying to be a dick. That is what I would do. Like, the same way if you had a really tight par 4, if the question was like, I've got this tight par 4 and the fairway is 15 yards wide, how do I hit my driver in it? You don't. You just don't do that, right? You don't hit driver in that scenario. Fairway wood off a tight lie is very difficult. There's nothing you can do about that. It will always be a difficult shot. It's always hard to pull off. Now, having said that, what could you do? If you said, Eric, your life's on the line, you need to hit a fairway wood off a tight lie, you have to hit it. There's nothing else you could do. Well, I would really hope that I have a big dispersion. I'd really kind of keep my fingers crossed. I wouldn't expect a lot out of myself. Okay, and I go play and shoot under par normally. So if you guys asking the question, shoot 80 or 90 or 100 or whatever, and me, who's a professional, an expert, some would say, don't feel good about hitting a 3-wood off a tight lie, then you shouldn't be super, whatever. If you hit a bad shot, you hit a bad shot. There's no margin of error. Okay. Now, what would I do? I would do nothing different than my normal swing. This is key as you guys go through clubs. Like if you, let's say someone posted a swing earlier today. I'm going to use him as a guinea pig. And he posted a swing on our membership site, and I identified 4 main things he needed to work on over the next year, okay, to get better. Like his feet needed to be closer together out of the dress. He needed to turn all the way through his follow through, let's say, and his takeaway needed to be better. Let's just say that, okay? If he needed his feet closer, turn more, takeaway better, he needs that with his sand wedge. He needs that with his 5-iron. He needs that with his hybrid, his fairway wood, his driver, all of his stuff. So whatever your normal swing issues are, they just get exaggerated in these scenarios. So if, let's say, during your downswing, you're too steep with your 3-wood, then, and you need to feel like you're more shallow or whatever to fix that, you need to do that with a 3-wood as well. So for me, what I'm going to do with a 3-wood off a tight lie is my same normal swing feels. For me right now, it's making sure I turn enough and deep enough, and then I make sure that my right side turns through. Those are my swing keys at the moment. Turn enough, deep enough, right side through. I would do the same things. Now, off a tight lie, since I have no margin, I have to hit the ball first. I might grip down more than normal, okay, and move the ball back just a smidge so I make sure I hit it. I would also feel like the club head works a little bit more down in terms of angle of attack, and I might play kind of a low cut on purpose. So if I was on the course, those would be the adjustments I'd make off a tight lie with the wood. I'd go ball slightly farther back, I'd grip down like this, and I'd feel like I hit more down during my downswing and play kind of a low cut pattern. And I would absolutely only hit that if I had a lot of margin up at the green. Hopefully I've said that enough where that sticks in. Billy, just wanted to say thank you. You are welcome for all the videos and instruction. I'm interested in coming up next year for a half-a-day lesson. What would be good to provide beforehand to prepare for a lengthy lesson? Billy, do you mean on your behalf to prepare or on my behalf to prepare? If it's for you to prepare, in reality, the answer is both ways, actually. Never mind. There's not a lot to do before the session because it's all going to be predicated on me seeing your swing and picking out priorities. How an in-person lesson would go with me, regardless of the time frame, would be we would talk and get to know each other. I would want to know what your main priorities are, what you want to do kind of long term, and then what your goals would be within that session. We would then, let's say you want to do full swing, hit shots. I would record them, grab TrackMan information. You and I would identify the main 1, 2, 3, 4 priorities based on what you wanted to do and what I saw. We would then lay a plan out for the next several months of what you need to do practice-wise to accomplish those. We'd go over how to start that process, how you give yourself feedback, et cetera. That's kind of what it would look like. Honestly, it's like that whether you go in person or online or you join the site. That's kind of what the deal works like this. So just make sure you rest the night before, come in with your A game, prepared, focused, and then we should be okay there. Thoughts on when you have a short pin and you're just off the green, landing it short, trying to let the fringe scrub feet or go long? Yeah, for most players, going long is the play there. If you're a PGA Tour level player, if you watch this past weekend, you can get a little bit trickier with landing in the fringe if you're really good with your landing spot. So if you're a player I work with and you do landing spots on a regular basis like I suggest and you feel super confident, then maybe you go for the fringe. Maybe. If you don't break 75 on a regular basis, you don't go for the fringe ever, from my perspective. And I mean to put those hard rules on there, guys, just like as like a general, like if you shoot 95, for example, type of thing, that's perfectly fine shooting 95. You shouldn't be chipping in the fringe, right? Like at that point, yard on the green. That way you have some margin. If you chip short, it's going to react the same. The problem with trying to hit on the fringe is if you do either of the opposite, it doesn't work. If you think it's going to hop on the fringe dead and you land short of it, it doesn't get there. So I would go higher and softer, land longer, and be okay with 10 to 15 feet past the pin. You short-sighted yourself in that scenario. That was the problem. So don't compound a mistake and make something stupid. The error there was getting the ball there. Like you made a mistake short-sighting yourself. That was a mistake. Now take your medicine, go 10, 15 feet by. If you make up where are you at in the round, et cetera, et cetera. Let's see, how to play your best golf when it might need reps. So I used to get a lot of players that would come in that would turn them to why, and then I would provide this. Oh, I got a little connection thing going there. You still see me okay? So good there?
Yeah.
And then I would provide this long list of examples of people of the history of the world doing thing once, twice, 3 times, and not doing well at it, right? And the reality is the best way to perform your best under those pressure situations is reps. You need to go in that situation as many times, get around that. So now if you've been playing under pressure with that, then I might look at kind of why that's happening, and you know, are you practicing like the scenario humanly possible? I think it's a big mistake Tiger made this year of not playing. So that's it. Get present when you can. Make your practices much like simulate this situation. Manny, please discuss how body tilts can be compromised with too much side bend in transition when not paired with forward bend. Yeah. So basically, when you make your downswing, you're going to be forward bend, which is if it goes straight back like that. If I make a if I bend and don't turn enough, usually they'll be associated with a tilt. So not enough bend, not enough tilt. I would, you guys can see me okay still. Okay, hang on guys. Can you see me on there or no? Not sure if you guys can see me here. Let me just scroll down. If you guys can still hear me okay, our computer's a little, that just might be our thing. I don't see a bunch of people popping off though, so we'll just keep going. Okay, so I'm going to assume you guys can see me okay. So the tilts, right, from here, if you not from here, right, if I take my right side bend and I add forward bend with rotation, then I'm okay. That's the goal, right? Right side bend, forward bend, rotation. If I add too much side bend without enough rotation, I typically get left side of my pelvis too high, hip too far forward, and I stall. Same sort of thing if I don't have enough forward bend. So if I add right side bend without forward bend and I'm vertical, right? So side bend, no, I don't rotate. Contact goes all etc. Players, they would go up to the top there, get yourself fully set, good turn, and then create the downswing pattern is probably the best way to do it. Now, having said that, if you do some of those things where you start going, if we can improve the connection here a little bit. Let's see here. Backswing. I would say your grip should be the same level of tightness that it was at address. You should kind of keep that constant all the way up to the top of the backswing. Ideas on how to stop a two-way miss in the middle of a round. Well, mechanics, and you don't get a two-way miss. And then also literally practice your ball flight. So stick in front and draw like a line, a wall down the target line, and miss every shot on only one side. Now have your mechanical pieces, you should have a go-to shot. Again, depending upon your shot. So if it's that push hook example, you might have a 3/4 iron swing where you kind of be able to work on the go, like have to miss to the right. Can't miss left, have to miss right. Driver, can't miss left, have to miss right. Where all of the balls finish on the same side of the target line. Still lagging. Yeah, so different people do different things that work. I'm probably okay with either way. You can kind of keep the ball on the same spot off kind of lefty clubs, or you can have the ball a little bit more kind of centered and move it progressively forward. I've seen both ends of that work extremely well to the point where I can't say one is correct and the other. You could, yeah, I would say that you for distance wise, you're looking to do the same things anyone else. Swing turn and getting a deep enough turn on the way back. I'd love an utopia and not pattern hitting center, but at top, so I probably angle of attack, those sort of things would potentially help. But it all depends on why that's happening. That could really just be several things. But usually I'd say that would probably those things work, tried and true. The issue is not the technique. The issue, Robbie, which I'm not saying you're saying, that could be what you feel like you're doing, you're not actually doing. I would challenge you to record in terms of where the club plane is, the club face, the wrist conditions. If I could see you chip, I could identify what the problem is and about. It's a more natural, automatic shallowing. You're going to typically get the opposite of whatever you create. Can you skip that ad, or that's just what it is? You're going to typically, so if you go flatter on the way back, again, they go just a little bit more vertical. So the butt of the club is just inside ball line, and then it's just outside ball line. We did a video on shallowing your parallel, butt of the club just inside ball line. Their hands were more or less at the same spot. Their body's more open, but then the club is just a little bit outside the ball line. So almost all of them. Answer the rest of these while we're on here, guys. Sorry about the video problems. Let's see. Okay, my range game is great, but when I step on the course, I often find myself missing shots. My question is, what would you recommend for me to take my range game to the course? Yeah, so this question comes up a lot. It's a good question. Couple solutions. Number one, spend more time on the course in the range. If you hit balls 3 days a week on the range and play once a week, anything else you would do in life, you would do better at the thing you do 3 times a week than once a week. People don't take that into account as much. Like literally, if you hit balls 3 days a week and only play once, you shouldn't hit it as good in the course than on the range. You do that 3 days a week. You only play once a week. You should be better on the range than you are on the course because you do that 3 to 1. That's part of it. The second part is you have to be able to take your range game to the course by making the range more like the course. So you would do kind of like if you're on the range and you're hitting 27 irons in a row to the same target, that's nothing like the course. Now, if you're practicing mechanics at that point, that's fine. But if you're hitting 20 shots at a target and worried about the direction, that's not course-like at all. You got to switch up targets, et cetera. So if you search my name and perfect practice routine, at the end of it, you'll see kind of how to practice more like course-like. But spend more time on the course, less on the range, make the range more like the course. That's the real answer. And you have to learn when you go on the course to like get present, get out of your own zone of thinking about your swing mechanics and just playing golf. Stuart, thanks, Eric. I watched my swing. It's my right hip that thrusts into the ball for early extension. I watched your video on left knee. Is that a good thought to have left knee to start downswing? Yeah, Stuart, I think in general, that's a good thought. I would watch the full master class and we really go through every single body part. There's a section on the feet, the legs, the hips, the torso, how to put everything together, drills, etc. So if your right hip thrusts in, again, there could be things you're doing earlier on that causes that. You might have to fix whatever's going on earlier. It might be just that piece. There's just a lot of variables involved. That's why I would do the whole master class there for that one, dude. Mark, best drill for shoulder turn. I tend to sway instead. Backswing turn, kind of a simple feedback drill, would be putting an object inside your right heel. So we would go kind of right here. So object inside your right heel, object across your shoulders, get the object across your shoulders over the object on your right heel. So here, boom, right across. So that would be kind of a good 90-degree shoulder turn drill like that would be something simple like that. Let's see, Larry, getting solid compression of the ball during my downswing continues to be a challenge. What downswing drills would you recommend? Yeah, Larry, I wouldn't recommend any. I would say what I would recommend for you to improve that, if it continues to be a challenge, meaning this has been going on for quite some time, your best solution is going to be to record yourself, work with a coach who knows what they're doing, identify the priorities as to why that compression is not happening, and then put drills in to do that. To just do some stock compression drills, you're flipping a coin. It might work. If you search my name here, Larry, on YouTube and compression, you'll get some stock drills you can throw in, and that might help. You can do some of those impact drills that we talked about, posing impact, learning how to do that, kind of make sure your body angles are in line. Learning body angles and wrist conditions are the deal for compression, right? Almost everyone who struggles with compression has a club face issue, either typically too open, right? You have a club face issue, and then you have some kind of swing direction issue to go along with that, and then your body reacts to that by being out of whack. So it really depends on why, Larry, you're not getting compression. Is your face too open? Is it swing direction, body angles, etc.? You can start with some of those things, and those might help, but your best bet to actually fix it is work with a coach, identify priorities, work on those drills, and then go from there. But impact drills would be kind of where you'd start with. Get a mirror or video, pose what an impact position would feel like, get your body in space, get the handle for good wrist conditions, and learn to hit little shots from there first and kind of build up. Robbie, with new format, with FedEx being top 30, made me think of different formats. What about Champion of Champions, a competition of all players who have won on tour even made? Yeah, I love that. I think that'd be awesome. I think that'd be dope. I'm interested to see how the next week turns out with them kind of starting at a certain score. It's an interesting concept. I'm not sure if I love it or I hate it or it's somewhere in between. Interesting concept though. But they'll figure it out this year. I like that at least they're trying stuff, doing some new things. Still okay or pretty laggy? It looks good here. It's working. So yeah. Hey Eric, what's your take on ideal weight distribution on a stock shot at impact? So yeah, if you're doing a full swing shot, I would say what would be kind of somewhat typical if you look at pressure mats would be 50-50 to start. Pressure 50-50 or a little bit more on your left foot would be typical. Little press up the left usually. And then by the time you get to the top, we're talking probably 70-30 pressure in your right foot. Body stays centered, not a huge body shift, but pressure in your feet about 70-30. From there, as you start kicking back down, probably back to 50-50 by left arm parallel at least. Shaft parallel on impact, you're more towards your left, probably 60-70%. And then into the follow through. So that's to be about typical 50-50, 70-30 to the right, back to neutral, 70-30 to the left, and then into the impact position would be stock. Of course, what you would need to feel from there depends on where you're normally at. If you're too far left too quick, you might have to feel like you don't go left as much. if you hang back too far on your right side, you might have to feel left quicker, but that would be like the stock rule. Let's see. Is it realistic to be able to feel the club head during a live swing with everything going on? No. Hi, Eric. Hello. For chipping, do you use the lower body as well for chipping? Do you use the lower body as well, or just shoulder and upper body? Is there any weight shift for chipping? Yeah, technically you use it all. What you should feel kind of depends again on where you're coming from. There is going to be a little bit of turn on both sides, right? So if I were doing a stock chipping motion, here's my belt buckle, here's my sternum. I wouldn't just keep my belt buckle pointed straight forward. There's a little bit of a turn on the way back, and then definitely on the way through when you're chipping, there's going to be a turn of the belt buckle and the sternum location. So you're definitely doing both of those. The second part of the question, do you use lower body as well or just shoulder and upper body? Yes, you use lower body and upper body, yeah. Is there a weight shift? There's a weight shift, but like not a ton. So if I start normal, I'd say 50-50 in terms of pressure in my legs, maybe 60-40 on my left. When you work back, you stay 60-40. As you work forward, there's gonna be more pressure in your feet. So if I put a pressure mat underneath me, I'm gonna be left and then more left as I work through. But because my feet are so close together, like you should start with your heels almost touching, there's not gonna be a shift to the right. So there's no shift to the right. I'm starting neutral, a little bit left, and then I'm working more left the whole time. If anything, I'm neutral, work left on my way back, and more left on my way through. Neutral, left, left. I'd rather you be, a lot of good chippers actually move their head and their upper body a little bit towards the target as they work back, and then even more on the follow through. Chris, for chipping, use lower body. Struggling with a fade slice driver swing. I'm straight to slight draw every other club in the bag except driver. My down the line looks on plane, and I have some minor extension, but nothing extreme. Clearly my swing path is too far to the fade side. Would you recommend the stick drill to move path? Yeah, I think, Chris, that's a good checkpoint to be able to move your path a little bit more to the right. If it's just that club, you also got to check off-centered contact. Could be hitting a little towards the heel that's causing that. Could be you hit up with your angle of attack, and that's really why that's shifting your path more to the left. Like if let's say your swing direction is slightly, let's just say it's neutral, and with your irons you hit down on it a little bit, that allows you to kick your path to the right and hit draw. If your swing direction neutral with your driver and you hit up 4, 5, 6 degrees, that makes your path go too far to the left, which makes you overfade it. You can make some face adjustments. I kind of have to see that and talk with you a little bit more. I think specifically if we were going to try and change that, but it sounds like you're in the right direction. Yes, I would recommend those swing direction sticks, especially if you angle attacks up. If you know you hit up on the ball a little bit and that's kicking your path left, the more you hit up, the more you got to go right and swing right with your driver to neutralize that pattern. Difference between drawing, fading driver versus doing it with irons. Best stock shot for driver as an amateur. The best stock shot there is no best stock shot. I would say typically it goes through phases as you're progressing with golf, which would be when you first start out, you usually slice the ball. And then to get better, you need to learn how to stop your slice and hit a hook. You got to learn to create a draw and a hook. And that can take you from first starting into playing really good. You can learn how to shoot under par with that. And at some point in time to be elite, you usually have to take the hook off and learn how to kind of get back to straight. So I'd say usually you learn how to fix a slice and hit a hook, and then you learn how to take the hook off and then kind of go back to straight. There's no better or worse, but I would say as a stock rule of all the golfers across the country, if they all learned how to draw the ball, the handicap level would come down. That's for darn sure. So probably better to learn how to hit a draw first across the board. Difference between drawing and fading your driver and doing it with the irons, yeah, the difference is really just angle of attack. So, I mean, you're trying to accomplish the same things. You want to get your path left, face less to the left, hit a fade, path right, face less to the right, hit a draw. When the ball's on the ground with an iron, you hit down on the ball. When the ball's up with the driver, you hit up on it. So that's the only difference with the driver. The ball's up in the air. Angle of attack is more up. Easier to get your path more to the left if you hit more up. But in terms of what you're trying to do, ball forward, stance open, swing outside in, whatever your feels are, should probably be pretty close to the same thing. How would you help someone eliminate a Lucas Glover-like downcock in transition? Manny, yeah, there's a couple of different options. One, he just got like 5th place in a PGA Tour event, right? So that goes to show you how much he needs to or doesn't need to. But I get your point. If I saw a transition like that, I'd be like, hey, that's probably narrow for most people. You got to go wider. A lot of that narrowness comes from the hinge amounts, right? So ulnar and radial deviation. So some kind of stock training aid could be a good start with that, Manny. Swing guide, that yellow swing guide on your wrist and on the club, so it doesn't allow you to hinge past 90. If it doesn't allow me to hinge past 90, how do I get too narrow here like this, right? Here's 90. I can't hinge more than this amount. So that would be one piece, would be a swing guide, something like that to control wrist angles. And then I'd check arm width, right? So other guys who get narrow because of the down cock, other people get narrow because of the arms. So that right trail arm bends too much and the lead arm bends too much. A lot of that comes from lack of turn and staying turned. You could do width drills like with a bucket drill we put out a couple weeks ago. Things like that would be a starting point. So it depends on why they're doing it. If it's hinging amounts, you can do a swing guide. You know, that sort of player would feel like he goes up and almost like unhinges, right? They're going to kind of feel like they go up and do kind of one of these to start down. If it's because of the arms, you have to keep the arms a little wider, bucket between the arms type of thing, tour striker ball, stuff like that. But it depends on why they're getting there. Chris, could this be from lack of spine tilt? For sure could be lack of right side bend in terms of your driver issue relative to irons. You could feel like you're adding more right shoulder down, more tilt to get your swing direction more from inside with the driver. Absolutely. Feel like your head stays behind the ball, add more tilt, kick your swing direction to the right would be along the lines of some things that you would potentially feel. Make sure you get a big enough turn with the driver. You can feel like you have more right side bend, keep your head behind the ball, and then kick it out to the right a little bit more. Can definitely offset some of that fade shot. Ronald, what's your favorite method to chip or pitch from deepish greenside rough? One that allows for run and a way to stop the ball when you don't have much green to work with. What's your favorite method to chip pitch from greenside rough? So if it's deep rough, then I would play it more like a bunker shot. So I would use the bounce. I would kick the face open. I'd do kind of the high bunker shot type of style. So face would be open, feet would be wide, knees bent, handle low. I'd go hinge, keep the face open, thud the ground, right? So I'd go hinge, keep the face open, thud the ground. Kind of narrow follow through with rehinge. Depending upon my lie, I might do more of this style. It kind of just depends on how deep the lie is, but you would go more bunker style, use the bounce, long backswing, hinge, face open, thud the ground, similar to a bunker shot. One that allows for run and one that stops. You got much green to work with. So the issue with deep rough is it's hard to create spin. There's a lot of grass between the club and the ball. Spin is primarily dictated by friction from the club and the ball. When there's grass in between, the level of friction goes down, so it's hard to spin out of deep rough. So that shot, how you get it to spin more, or if you said stop more, you can't stop it through spin. You got to stop it through height. So if I needed it to not roll a lot, one, that's tough. It's going to be hard. I would open the face more and get the ball higher in the air sooner. You have to stop the ball through height there. Still play like a bunker shot, but go higher. If I wanted to roll more, I would still open the face, still go bunker, open the face here, but I'd kind of go lower and wider with my follow through here instead of the high rehinge. And I'd let it roll mostly through trajectory, not hit the ball as high. So I would control how far the ball goes in that scenario, Ronald, in terms of green side, thick rough, by how high I hit it. Hit it higher to make it go shorter, hit it a little lower to make it roll out more, not trying to increase the spin. Brandon, any quick diagnostic for consistently hitting shots towards the toe? Contact is good, results decent, but obviously missing the center. Any drills, recommendation videos, yours? Yeah, it really depends on why you're, where it's coming from. I don't know if we've done a video specifically on the toe hits. We've done some videos on shaft plane, which I know talked about the toe hits. A lot of people that I see that hit off the toe stems from a shaft angle, vertical swing plane that's too vertical. So meaning when I set up, here's the angle of the club through my belt buckle. If I, at impact, you know, most people, the handle's gonna be a little above it. But if you go too far above it, if I keep raising the handle, the toe and the club works towards me, which means increased toe shots of the toe. If I took this angle and I made it lower, the club works away from me, means more heel shots. So I see a lot of people get toe shots because the shaft is too vertical. That a lot of times comes from early extension, not enough forward bend during the downswing, not enough rotation. I see toe shots a lot with early extension or something you do early that makes the shaft angle more vertical. So we did a video on early extension where I talked about getting the chest closer to the ground, maybe like 2 best fields to fix early extension, something like that. It was inside and it was chest to the ground. And I also said, pretend there's like a wall here and your goal is to get your hands under the wall. So during your downswing, you want to feel like the shaft angle at impact is a lot lower. Like there's a wall above your hands and you're keeping your hands much lower. So the shaft is like much more horizontal, not as vertical in impact. It's feeling like much more horizontal. That could probably help you get off the toe. It really depends on why, but if it is vertical shaft angle, you can have that kind of wall there and you're swinging underneath it will help. David, you're welcome. Dave, is it easier to hit draws with shut face going back in transition or face more neutral open? I think either way can work. I think obviously to make the ball draw, the face has to be close to the path. So the more things you do to close to the path, the easier it is to draw. Whether you do that via strong grip, risk conditions on the way back, curl it under on the way through, flip hook it on the way through. So I don't know that one's really easier or more difficult, Dave. I think there's just different ways to be able to do the same deal. I know that's not the answer you want, but that's kind of is the answer. Justin Thomas lifts the club head above ground before taking the club away. What's the advantage of this move? I think for him, it's just a trigger. I think it's just like shifting pressure in his feet or doing something else like that. It's just a trigger to go back. I know a lot of players who do that kind of like they kind of pump the club a couple of times. They kind of tap it before they go, and it just serves as kind of an athletic trigger so you're not stagnant over the ball. I don't know that that's why he does it, but that's what I see a lot there. Show your range back you. Okay, I don't know what that means. Right. Do you think you have a closer philosophy to Hogan methodology than most, especially in your connectivity on your left arm through the swing? And this is something that is understated by most. Morgan, I don't think I really have a I don't really think I have a philosophy. So inherently, I don't think I really have a philosophy close to anyone. All that I've really done is study other coaches that I think are good and study golf swings and take commonalities amongst the best players. Most of the coaching that we do is based on checkpoints. Checkpoints within the swing that we use as guidelines, and then you use feedback to hit those checkpoints. And searching PGA Tour swings, LPGA Tour swings for the past 100 years of really great ball strikers, and they all tend to do common fundamentals, and that's really what we coach off of. Same thing, if we were going to, Mary and I were going to open a financial institution, a financial advising company, we would probably just model the most successful financial people of the past 100 years, see what they all did well, and then kind of create things to give you guys feedback based on that. That's really all it is. So I don't really have a philosophy of what you should or shouldn't do other than kind of what good players do. Sometimes, Hogan happened to do some of those things, Sam Snead, and then many of the other players too. So I don't really think I have a philosophy per se. Jason, watch your perfect impact position video, and that's something I can practice indoors. Yes, it is. Or could this create bad habits? I don't see that creating bad habits, no. I would do that and give yourself video feedback as always. So we have a minute here, guys. Sorry about the bad connection. I see a bunch of questions on here. Okay. So I'll try and just rapid through these for the next 30 seconds. Do you feel focus on the club or focus on body positions is better? Neither's better. You need to work with the coach, identify priorities, see where you're off, and then fix that. Could be club or body, just depends on the player. Dave, you want your hand path to work in and club head out on backswing. Where does the hand path work out in the transition before working down? If you want your hand path to work in and club head out on backswing, where does the hand path work out in transition before working down? So from the top, if it's over your right shoulder, if you drew a line straight down and straight out, the hands work more toward down than out. It'll go back through your right pec. So technically it's going down and out here the whole time. Down and out, down and out, down and out, down and out until about level with the ground. Then it's up and in, up and in, up and in, up and in. So that never does it go straight out, nor does it go straight down. It is going both down and out the whole way. Over my shoulder, through the pec, down and out. So it went more down than out. From there, it continues to go down and out until last parallel. And then from there, it goes up and left, up and left, up and left, up and left. That's the hand path. Jason, yes, lagging. Sorry. As far as the club face at the top of the swing, to see if my club face is open, square, closed, I put tape in the center of the face and put a T in the center. Is that a good drill? Yeah, that's fine. You just want the leading edge, even with kind of your forearm lead wrist, is kind of a stock thing that's okay to work with here. Any ideas for roping the driver all of the time? Yeah, tee it high and just freaking swing as hard as you can. What do you think of the advice? Hit the ball over the second baseman to get in and out path. I think that's fine if you get in and out path. I think any advice or feels are not correct or incorrect. All that matters is what you actually do. You need to feel whatever you need to feel to change your desired motion. That's it. Nothing is correct or is not correct. Do you prefer the bounce and chipping or the leading edge? Bounce as much as possible, only leading edge when you have to go lower. What's a realistic timetable to make multiple major swing adjustments, backswing, rotation, practicing 2 to 4 times per week and just trying to have realistic expectation? I think 1 to 2 months is realistic for it to look pretty darn good on camera on the range. 12 months is realistic for it to show up all the time on the course. With posture at address, keeping butt more under you, do you keep the feeling or position to the top of the backswing, then transition to kick it out? Yes, that's exactly what you do. Thanks very much for your help. Please keep these live chats coming. Great to talk to pro. Thank you. Saw your Bronco video. 3 keys. How open should my stance be? Square or slightly open? See what works best for you. A lot of people go too far open. More towards square would be beneficial. Depends on how low the handle is. The lower the handle at address, less open your stance line. There is no perfect answer for that. Some guys more open, some less. Good drill to stop overdrawing my irons. Figure out why you're overdrawing it and then fix that. Is it because your path is too far to the right or your face is too close? And those could be mutually exclusive, and then fix those. If I could see your swing, I could tell you why, and then we could fix that, but depends on why that is. Should I start my downswing with an immediate hip turn once from the top? Yes. What's the best drill to correct someone who takes the club back too far on the inside and gets stuck on the downswing? Search my name and hooks, cure hooks. You'll see some drills on that, and search my name and takeaway and troubleshooting your takeaway. You'll see that. Usually push my irons and have a strong grip. Should I roll my wrist more? I can't say that without seeing it. You might have to just, if you push your iron straight to the right with a strong grip, that means your path is probably too far inside out. You probably have to change your path first, not your face. That's a guess without me seeing it. Why do I struggle with irons that are 21 to 23 degrees aloft? Is that a speed time thing? It could be. Can swing my 7-iron 85, or should it be enough? Yeah, the other things, like I said before, everyone struggles with a 21 or 23 degree club relative to a 7-iron. Everyone on planet Earth hits their 7-iron better than a 3-iron. Everyone in the history of golf ever. So that's a normal issue. Why? Yeah, it's part of it. The lower your speed is, the harder it is when your loft goes down. That is true. Why exactly? Usually people who really struggle with longer clubs either are too steep or too shallow. So if you're too shallow with your angle of attack, you get too shallow, you kind of pick on no divot, or you get too steep, too big of divots. Either one could present problems. Best tip for chicken wing. Search my name in chicken wing. You'll see a video on that. Corey, any suggested places to get a full bag fitting if I'm open to any manufacturer? Club Champion would be where I would go. Okay, hope you guys all enjoyed that. So we're going to go really, really rapid fire at the end. Sorry again for the issues. Wanted to stay back inside this week, some connection issues. We should be back and good to go next Monday, back outside. So we should be ready to rock and roll. For you guys that were on here when I said for me to see your swing, check out cogornogolf.com. That is where you can post swings. We will have a masterclass launching next Monday, which is on wedges and short irons. That could help all of you guys score better. Really, really good masterclass that's coming out then. So see you guys next Monday. We'll be back outside. The connection issue will be fixed again. And thank you. We'll see you guys then.